Hello men and gentle ladies and welcome back. Now in the previous Bear Trap video I touched a little bit on the War Academy, specifically focusing on Marksman and they're important in Bear Trap, but today I wanted to speak a little bit more fully on the War Academy itself and just how important I think it is and how I think players should be focusing on it. Now a lot of what I do in this game comes from following people's advice that have already done it way before I have, and they can give me the best advice on how I can get the most out of my account and out of my troops. But in this video I want to share something that I actually decided to test myself and then the benefits that I saw from doing that. Now Helios troops, and yes, it is Helios troops and not Helios troops like I said in my previous video, so it turns out I was pronouncing it wrong, like I've been pronouncing so many different words and so many different names in this game. You know, maybe I need to do another pronunciation video. Absolutely not. That video performed horribly. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life. Well, other than the time that I... Now, the War Academy unlocks at around day 220 of your server, and more importantly, after your state has unlocked the ability to push to FC5. And this is where things get big. This is where the game changes completely, because this is where you can unlock the Helios troops, also known as T11 troops. Now, unlike when you are pushing to furnace level 30, where you have to manually promote troops constantly, when you start pushing different FC levels, so FC 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you don't actually have to promote your troops. They just get automatically upgraded to whatever the level is of that training camp. But Helios troops are different, because once you do unlock them, you do have to start promoting them, because they then get promoted from T10 to T11. Now, for most players, Helios troops feel completely out of reach because of the time and the resources that it takes to get there. So a lot of people just don't prioritize it because they just think, I'm never going to get there, so there's just no point. So what we're going to do in this video is try to break it down. So if we go and have a look at the War Academy itself, you will see that there are 3 different branches. Now, each of these paths is structured exactly the same. Each tile gives you the same bonus, the same buff. It just focuses on a different troop type. So the top one focuses on Marksman, the middle one to the right focuses on Infantry, and the bottom focuses on Lancers. So if we take a look at the Marksman one, which I've done most of, so if we go and have a look at the first one, which is the Flame Squad, it gives a boost to your troops' deployment capacity. Now, you get this benefit regardless of whether you get Helios troops or not, so all of this research gives you immediate benefits once it's finished researching, so you do get a lot from this even if you don't manage to reach those Helios troops. The next 2 on the path give you a boost to lethality and a boost to health. The next one, which is the Flame Legion, gives a boost to your rally capacity. The next ones give boosts to your attack and your defense, with the final one giving you the troops themselves, those Helios, Marksmen, Infantry, or Lancers. Now, in the same way that your research center works, you don't just research these once and then they're done. If we go and have a look at some of these down there, you can see that they've got 12 for the Flame Legion. Some of them have 8. The first ones, I believe, have 5. And the troops themselves are the ones that say Helios Lancers and Helios Infantry. That is just 1 research. But don't be fooled. Don't think, oh, that's just 1, so that's going to be quick. If we go and take a look at my Helios Infantry, you will see that it takes over 53 days. And you might be wondering, why am I not researching that now, considering I've got everything else done, so I should be using this time to passively upgrade and get those Helios Infantry as soon as possible. I'm simply just waiting for SVS. So on research day for SVS prep, I'm then going to start that research. I'm then going to just speed it up so it's done that day. It's just going to give me the most amount of points. So I'm still going to have the infantry in the same amount of time that I would. I'm just having to use some speed ups just to make sure that we get the most amount of points for our state. Now, once you do unlock the troops, that isn't the end, because you can see there are 3 further things to research even after that. And if we click on each of these, you'll see that it reduces the cost of healing your Helios troops, the cost of training your Helios troops, and then reduces the time that it takes to heal the troops. And trust me, Helios troops take a lot of resources and a lot of time to train and heal. You are going to need a ton of resources. So any chance to reduce this does massively help. But here's the real problem with upgrading those final 3, because to max them all to level 10, you're almost spending the exact same amount of fire crystal shards and steel as you spent to get to the Marksman or to get to the infantry themselves. So those final 3 take a lot of resources to get to. And honestly, it just sums up the War Academy, because this is not cheap. And I'm not just talking money, I'm not talking about us actually buying packs or anything. The amount of resources that it takes to get to these points is insane. And you'll see that I went for Helios Marksman first, and there's a couple of reasons for that. At the time when I started focusing on Helios Marksman, I wasn't a rally lead in my state, I wasn't a rally lead particularly in my alliance. And if that was the case, then infantry should have been my focus. And honestly, for the majority of players, infantry should be your focus anyway. And also for me, I should have focused on them first. I regret it. I mean, I've seen massive benefits from having Helios Marksman, but I really should have pushed for infantry first. Now, if you're a very low spender or completely free to play, then getting Marksman first honestly isn't a bad option. It's going to give you a chance to score higher in things like Bear Trap and get you more rewards. So for a free to play player, it's certainly not a bad thing to go for. I would just recommend for the majority of players, particularly if you are a spender, get infantry first. So most players would push for infantry first, and then marksmen, and then lancers, because marksmen are the ones who deal the most damage. Infantry are the ones that need to soak up the most damage, and they're the front line of your attack always. Some people will go for lancers after infantry before marksmen, and it's honestly not a bad decision. Lancers are used in almost every single aspect of the game. They're often considered the second or third most important in every aspect. So after getting infantry, if you do decide to push lancers rather than marksmen, certainly not a problem, and you're still going to see benefits from all of them. But I would recommend for completely free-to-play players to possibly push for marksman, and then for everyone else to push infantry. However, and this is genuinely important, before you even think about unlocking Helios troops, there are certain things that I think you should prioritize first. So the first tile on each path is this flame squad, which boosts your troop deployment capacity, and I would encourage every single player to focus on getting these done first, because this benefits you in every aspect of the game, whether it's your rallies and sending more troops within your own rallies, having more troops to join rallies, be able to attack with more troops in different PvP events. It's going to help you in every aspect of the game. So regardless of which one you're pushing for, which troop type you want to get first, get these all to level 5 on each of the paths first. The next central one between this and the troops themselves is the Flame Legion, and this boosts your rally capacity. And this is especially important if you are a rally lead in your alliance or in your state. It's going to give a chance for more players to join with more troops, which is going to make your rally stronger overall. So it's going to give you a great benefit in SVS, in Foundry, in Bear Trap. So if you are regularly starting rallies, I would encourage you to go and push this one as well. So regardless of which troop type you pick, I would definitely recommend trying to upgrade those as soon as possible. But with how expensive all of this is, how do you actually do it efficiently? And this is where I made a decision quite early on that I'm very, very happy with. Because long before our state unlocked the ability to get to FC6 and all the way up to FC8, I decided that I was going to get Helios Marksman and Helios Infantry before pushing to FC6. So once I had my Helios Marksman and I got very close to getting my Helios Infantry, that's when I started pushing FC levels. So that's when I started aiming for FC6, only when I had those Marksmen and when I knew that I was on the brink of getting those Infantry. And honestly, the difference this has made to my account on how I perform in certain events has been huge, even just with the Helios Marksman. So in Frostmine, I can constantly kick pretty much any FC6 player out of the mines. Almost every single time. And I can regularly beat FC7s. Not all of the time, but quite often in events like Frostmine and Foundry, I can regularly beat FC7s that don't have Helios troops themselves. So I'm finding that Helios troops, at least in my experience, and my Helios troops, are stronger than a lot of players' FC7 troops. And in our last Foundry, I managed to absolutely batter, and I mean absolutely batter, an FC8. And at the time, I'd only just got to FC6, and none of my troops were FC6. I just had FC5 troops and some Helios Marksmen. And I absolutely battered him, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It got to my head very quickly, and I then tried to burn another FC8, and I lost all my troops. But it just showed me how important Helios troops are, and how much advantage they can give you over other players, particularly if they're players of a similar power level to you. If you've got Helios troops and they don't, you're probably going to win. So this is my overall advice, and not just because I read it somewhere or somebody told me to go and read a post and try and figure it out that way. I just decided to test it myself and see if it worked. So my advice is to push at least one type of Helios troops before you push to FC6, and ideally another type before you push to FC7. Now, if you're going down this route, there's something else that you need to be doing every single day, and that is exchanging your fire crystals for fire crystal shards. And I mean every single day. And if you're focusing on getting these Helios troops rather than pushing your FC levels like I did, then you're not going to need those fire crystals anyway, and you're not going to need them for a long time, so you might as well put them in here where they're going to immediately become useful to you. So if we look at the button in the top right that says redeem, it then gives you the option to go and redeem every single day. So you can redeem all of your fire crystals for fire crystal shards, which I've been doing for months now. I've finally stopped doing it because I'm on the brink of getting Helios Infantry and I need to start pushing some of my buildings to FC6. But I would encourage you to make this a focus and try to get at least one type of Helios troops before you keep pushing further. If you already have pushed, then it's fine. It's not a problem. You're still going to see benefits from doing it. I would just recommend most people to make sure that you get at least one type of Helios troops as soon as possible. Now, you can also exchange steel for shards, but I would be very careful here, and I've unfortunately learnt the hard way, because I started out with about 15 million steel, and as you can see now, I've barely got a million. And the research itself takes a lot of steel, and you're still going to be doing research in your research center as well, so steel is going to be incredibly important. And in order to unlock the final tier of the troops, if we go to the Helios Infantry, you can see that it costs 1 million steel. So my advice would be to be careful when redeeming and when exchanging steel for shards. You can certainly still do it. I would just be very careful and try to make sure that you always have much more steel than I have, because there were a few times where I went to do the research, particularly when I went to do the Helios Marksman research, and I didn't have enough steel because I've been exchanging it every single day, and I massively regret it. Yes, it meant that I could get the troops quick, but so yeah, try to always make sure you've got a certain amount. I would try to say at least above 2 million, but I wouldn't recommend doing this for most players. Particularly if you're free to play and you don't have that much steel, really wouldn't recommend it. If you're a spender and you want to do it, that's fine. But speaking from experience, I would be very careful when exchanging steel, and I would personally mainly focus on the fire crystals. Now, one thing I would do before exchanging every single day is going to this building over here, the Crystal Laboratory, and making sure you do one super refine every single day in order to get a refined fire crystal. Now, you get a discount every single day for the first super refine that you do, so I encourage all players, if you are at this stage of the game, to make sure that you do this. Getting refined fire crystals is an absolute nightmare, and you're going to need them when you're pushing to FC6 and any level after FC5. So they become very important and very expensive. So make sure you come here every single day before you exchange your fire crystals for fire crystal shards and get one of these refined fire crystals. Now, even if you do all of this and exchange all of your fire crystal shards, and even if you're like me and you exchange all of your steel, you're still going to struggle, because this takes an insane amount of resources. So just to unlock one type of Helios troops, so all of the research up to it, and then unlocking that final research, it's going to cost you around 4 million steel and around 13,000 fire crystal shards, plus a huge amount of resources, so food, wood, coal and iron. It's going to cost a lot of that as well, and a hell of a lot of research time. And if you want to unlock the whole branch and those post troop type research things, so we look at the top there and those 3 that I've only got to 2 out of 10 so far, if you want to unlock everything in a branch, it's going to cost you roughly 8 million steel and over 27,000 shards. And if you want all the troop types, so if you want to unlock every single thing in the Research Academy, if I have my maths correct, it's going to cost around 24 million steel and around 80,000 fire crystal shards, plus all the research time, plus all of the other resources. This is insanely expensive. And if you're a low spender or a free-to-play player, this is going to take a long time. Like, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It's going to take a long time, and you're probably not going to have the patience to push through with it, so you might have already abandoned it. If you look at people in your alliance who are an FC8 and you're still an FC4, you've only just got to FC5, you might think, I need to push fire crystal levels so that I can catch up to them. You really don't. So in my alliance, I'm front row of the bear trap, and you can't really see it at the moment if we go and have a look at the map. Obviously I'm fire crystal level 6 now, but I was fire crystal 5 and I was one of the only people on the front row that was FC5, but my power was higher than a lot of theirs because I had those Helios troops. So even if you feel like you're falling behind in fire crystal levels, if you are getting those Helios troops, you're really not going to be falling behind. That's going to catch you up a lot quicker than pushing fire crystal levels. Now, if you are a spender in the game and you don't mind putting a little bit of money into the game, then there is a pack that I would recommend buying for the War Academy, and that is on the deals tab, and it is called Journey Treasures. Now, this is a monthly pack that costs $19.99, so it's certainly not cheap, but it's value-wise pretty much equivalent to you buying 4 of the $4.99 weekly packs. And if we press the magnifying glass in the top right, you will see what this gives you. So from this, you'll get 310 fire crystals as well as 120 fire crystal shards. Now, if we go and have a look at the monthly packs, so we go to the top up center and monthly packs, weekly packs, we can go have a look at the fire crystal shard pack and the fire crystal pack. Now, if you were to buy the fire crystal weekly card for 4 weeks, spending $19.99 again, you would end up with 248 fire crystals, whereas in the Journey Treasures, you would get 310. Now, if you bought the Fire Crystal Shard weekly pack for 4 weeks, you would end up with about 208 Fire Crystal Shards, I think, and you would only get 120 in the Journey Treasures pack. But in the Journey Treasures pack, you're getting both Fire Crystals and Fire Crystal Shards. So to me, the Journey Treasures is genuinely one of the biggest bits of value in the game. You can see it has the percentage at the top there, which says it's a 7,200% value pack. I do think it is. You know, I don't really often say that packs are value because you're spending money in a mobile game, so there's not really much value there. But if this is something you're focusing on, and if you don't mind spending money in the game, the Journey Treasures is a must. So that is the War Academy, and that is my kind of overall advice. It's one of the first videos where I've just kind of talked about what I think is right. I haven't done any research into how other people do this. This is just how I've seen benefits from it. If you do disagree and if you have done something slightly different, then do let me know. But my overall advice is, again, to push those middle pieces that give you a rally capacity if you are a rally lead, and particularly those first ones that give you a troop deployment capacity. I wouldn't recommend trying to stagger them and trying to do every single branch to the same level. Genuinely don't bother doing that. Focus on one branch. Primarily focus on infantry if you want that biggest benefit. If you want to focus on marksman, that's fine. But once you get that troop capacity boost and maybe that rally capacity boost, focus completely on one branch. And again, a lot of players who are free to play will look at this and think, it's too much, I'm not going to be able to get there, there's no point focusing on it. Just try and focus on at least one. Even if you're 2 years into the game and you still only have one troop type, you are going to see a benefit from it. So my recommendation is for everyone to at least push for one troop type. So do let me know in the comments if you have gone a different route, if you have found benefits from doing it in a slightly different way, and let me know what kind of results you've been seeing, because I genuinely am curious to see how other people have approached this and to see what kind of results they've been getting. So if you have enjoyed the video, please do leave a like and also consider subscribing if you haven't already. And for those that are subscribed and will be here for the next video, I will see you then. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you real soon. Peace.